I found an old, dusty board game in the corner of the thrift shop. Its box was covered in strange symbols and designs that looked almost otherworldly. I couldn't make out the name of the game, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it. As soon as I got it home and opened the box, the air in my room grew cold and a shiver ran down my spine. Inside, I found a board made of a dark, smooth stone, and the pieces were these weird, gnarled wooden things that looked like they'd been carved by some unseen hand. There were no instructions, but there was something else. A small slip of paper with the words, "Beware the game," written on it. Of course, I ignored it and proceeded to roll the dice. The moment the dice hit the table, the lights in my room flickered, and the candles on the other side of the room suddenly went out, plunging my room into darkness. I could feel the eyes of something on me, watching me from the shadows. Then just as quickly, the lights came back on and everything seemed normal. Taking a deep breath, I tried to push the feeling of dread and unease away. I rolled the dice again and moved my piece across the board, which was covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. And then, as if pushed by an invisible force, my hand moved again, this time to pick up one of the wooden pieces. In my hand, it felt cold, like ice, and the grain of the wood seemed to writhe and twist like a living thing. As I continued playing, the shadows on the wall grew longer and more distorted, taking on shapes of their own. I could have sworn I heard whispers echoing around me, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, but the whispers grew louder, and I started to feel a growing sense of terror and dread. Then, as if in slow motion, I watched in horror as the pieces on the board began to move on their own, sliding across the surface as if pulled by an unseen force. They moved closer and closer together, forming a circle around my piece. Panic surged through me, and I tried to move my piece, but it was as if something was holding it down, pinning it to the board. And then, as the pieces closed in, spelling out my name, I felt a cold, unseen presence wrap around me, pulling me into the game. The box slammed shut on its own, trapping me inside with whatever malevolent entity had possessed me. I screamed, but no sound came out. My whole body felt like it was being pulled into the board, into the darkness, and then everything went black.